my name is Helena. I was born and raised in Italy. I know you can't tell from my accent, but I was born and raised in Italy. I moved to the States about 4 years ago now, and made first to New York, and then I made my way to California. I was a professional dancer in Italy. So I did music videos. I competed nationally. I did Switzerland's Got Talent. Dancing was my thing. I did hip hop. And then you kind of reach a point in life where you either pursue it professionally and you just do that, right? Or you decide not to, and you keep it as a hobby. And I was at the point where, I don't know, I wasn't sure about being a dancer forever. I didn't know if it would pay the bills, like, is it a safe career path? So I decided not to, and I decided to, follow what I studied and get a job in corporate, I guess like everyone does. And so that void kind of was left empty. It was just left unfilled. And I was traveling to New York just as a summer vacation. And my friend was like, hey, I'm going to a soul cycle class. Do you want to come with me? I'm like, what the heck is soul cycle? I've never heard about it, because obviously there's none in Europe. So I went with her, and I was just blown away over sensory overload. Like, it was just an experience that I've never had before. It was to the beat. They did choreo on a bike. It was cardio, but it didn't feel like cardio. I just fell in love. I sucked at it. I was completely terrible. I felt like I was in the back, and I felt like everyone was so much better than me. And I was like, oh man, I don't know how people do this. And I walked out of it a little bit defeated is the right word. But because of that, because I'm super stubborn, I was like, no, I'm going to go back and I'm going to crush it. And so I went back and I made it my routine. And after a year of riding, I'm like, I want to be an instructor. I this, because I wasn't dancing. I wasn't doing anything else. And this was the closest thing to my dancing times. So I did a Schwinn certification, which, at the time when you don't know where to start, I thought, okay, this is, a good stepping stone, which now I know, like, sure, it's good advice. It's a nice space, but it's not necessary for indoor, especially indoor boutiques riding. And I got my certification, and then I got my first job in Brooklyn as a spin instructor in this small boutique studio called Rhythm Ride. Now they're called Punch Pedal. They're still in Brooklyn. And I taught there for a year until I moved to California. And then in California, I rode with Rush Cycle. They're a franchise, especially down in San Diego. And then I moved to Grit Cycle, and they're huge in Orange County. So it's been 3 years of me teaching on the bike, and about 5 of me riding a bike. So I'm super passionate. Now that I don't have any of that, I really miss it, but it's the state of things. No specific, I think a combination of me really missing dancing and because my whole dancing career was on a stage, and I was used to having all eyes on me, right? So I think a combination of missing that element of my life. And I remember the teacher that I used to go to, and I'm going to shout out Erin in New York. She's a soul cycle instructor. She was just such an inspirational character. Everything she said made you cry. And I moved to New York from Europe without a job, without a house, I didn't have anything. I had to start from scratch. I have one friend, and probably because of my weak state, everything she said just hit home. And so I was like, man, I want to be that one person that just encourages people like that, because we're all in different stages of our life. And I felt like, it doesn't matter where you are in life. I wanted to be that solid rock for someone. And I've been when I moved to California, and there's so many people that were in my same position when I was in New York, and they come to me and they're like, you have no idea how much you've meant to me in my transitional phase. And my, I just moved to Orange County. I have no one. And you were that pillar, that rock that I needed. And it's so empowering and so just heartwarming. Well, first one is getting to know people. So the community. It's the number one every time I moved city, it's the number one thing that I would look for, because because if you don't have a job, and the friends that you make at your workplace are a handful. So at least whatever studio you go to, you can get to know more people and network. So that's the number one thing. The second thing, and this is more from an instructor perspective, is the challenge. You always have to be in your A game. You always have to be one step up from the competition. So that's the kind of person I am. I'm very, I like the competition. I like being challenged, and I like seeking the best version of myself constantly. So I think that, and then maybe the fact that you constantly have to reinvent yourself. So especially now with COVID, everyone had to stop and look at their business models and be like, all right, well, how can we survive? So I think I love how flexible the fitness industry is, because at the end of the day, all you need to do is motivate, right? It doesn't matter how many equipment you have. You can have all of the elements, but if you're not motivated, so I think that's what the core of it is. You need to motivate people, because I can't, for the life of me, if I had a bike in my home and I needed to ride by myself, no, can't do that. So the biggest one, and I've struggled with this still today, are the negative reviews. And I think this is a big topic for whoever does anything humanistic and artistic. So it's you put your heart and soul out, right, to these people. Sometimes you say things out there that are, very personal to yourself, and then you go home and you 1 star, this instructor was terrible, and you're like, oh man, that just breaks your heart. Like you spent hours putting the playlist together. You make sure that everyone is having a fun time, and then you missed it. I don't know, you said something that maybe was inappropriate, or it hit home for some people, and you just weren't, obviously, because everyone reacts differently. So I think that's, to me, that's the biggest struggle, and not letting it affect you is even harder, because how can you not take it personally when your job is so personal?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of them. And I don't have a solution, except think of, instead of focusing on that one negative review, think of the 50 other people that you made happy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't control everyone.
It's easier said than done. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I think it will make people realize that you don't need a 7th-floor gym to get your workout in. You don't need any fancy studio. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars in a whatever membership. I hope people will realize that it really comes down to motivation and determination and sticking to your goals. So even if I've been training, I've switched from spin to workouts, just like weightlifting, at home with my fiance. And we've been doing it via Zoom, and it works fine. Is it great? No, but does it get the job done? Absolutely. Do I miss the environment, with all the people being surrounded in a spin studio? 100%. I miss the community. I miss that energy that it gives you. But if I'm thinking of, being in the best shape, I'm probably in the best shape now than I was when I was in a room full of people. because I took my all-American fiance to Italy to meet my family for the first time last year. And we went to the beach. And he looked around and he didn't see a single person in shape. Like they were all skinny, but nobody had like, you know, you go to Jersey and you see, you know, those like super bodybuilders. No, you don't see those in Italy. It's a rare sighting if you do. And he was so confused. He's like, do people not work out here? I'm like, it's not really a thing. Like if you're a little overweight, you just stop eating that second portion of pasta and you're fine, or you go for a walk or a run. So in Italy, and obviously I'm just going to speak about Italy because I don't want to speak about the other countries, but it's mostly common in Europe to think that if you need to get in shape, you just go for a run. So you do cardio. And eating protein, it's not a thing. Like you don't whey protein and supplements are just not a thing. So when you come here and you're like, I gotta eat protein, I gotta lift weights, and it's just such a complete different mentality. He had to do a little bit of switching. I'd say keep doing you, but don't stop learning. Don't stop. Just because you're an instructor doesn't mean that you're there. Doesn't mean that you've reached the top. So keep taking classes, keep learning, and if you do get negative feedback, take it constructively and learn from it. So many good songs. I think top of the list right now is Purple Hat. That's one of my go-tos. Oh, pizza.
Mhm.
Aaron from Soul Cycle, always, forever. My motto is the goal, and I should do this to myself too. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency.